There's a difference between being liked and being needed. I learned that early. People like the idea of a dependable person, someone who remembers deadlines, carries jumper cables, knows how to make printer ink last 2 weeks past empty. It feels good to be the solution until you realize no one ever asks what you need solving. Most mornings at the office start the same. I'm the first one in, keying in the security code before the lights finish warming up. Someone always left something undone, reports unsigned, coffee machine flashing, add water. The weekly team board still dated from last Thursday. By the time anyone else arrives, everything looks effortless again. "Morning, Ethan," Marla says, breezing in with a latte balanced on her phone. "Hey, could you check the client folder for me? I think I uploaded the wrong version last night." I nod. Of course she did. Of course I will. There's no resentment in it, at least not the loud kind. I tell myself I'm built for steadiness, not complaint. That's what people like about me. I make the chaos look organized. By noon, I've fixed 2 spreadsheets, proofed a proposal I didn't write, and sent reminders for meetings I won't speak in. At lunch, my coworker Ben sits across from me, shoveling pasta into his mouth like he's afraid it'll run away. "You're too nice, man," he says between bites. "They'd drown without you." I smile. That's kind of the point, isn't it? He laughs, thinking I'm joking. Later, my phone buzzes. It's my sister again, her third call this week. I let it ring twice before answering. "Ethan, can you look at Mom's tax stuff? I think I messed something up again." "I'm at work." "Oh, it'll only take a second," she says, her voice already softening into that tone that means she's sure I'll say yes. I say yes, I always do. By 5 o'clock, everyone's heading out, chatting about drinks and weekend plans. I stay behind to print last-minute invoices because someone forgot to cue them. The fluorescent lights flicker overhead. The hum of the copier is the only sound left in the building. When I finally step outside, the sky's already turning violet. I walk home past the convenience store where the cashier knows my order by heart: microwave dinners and herbal tea. Comfort disguised as routine. My apartment greets me with quiet. It's clean, maybe too clean. A place designed for rest that I never quite managed to feel rested in. There's a pile of laundry folded neatly on the couch that's been waiting to be put away for 3 days. I tell myself I'll do it tomorrow. I eat standing up, scrolling through emails. 2 from work, 1 from my sister, 1 from my best friend Olivia. Oli texted, "Hey, can you proof my grant proposal? Need it by tomorrow morning. You're the best 3." No greeting, no how are you, just assumption. I stare at the screen for a long time, the words blurring into static. In the silence that follows, something small inside me cracks, not loud enough to break, just enough to let the light in. I think about what Ben said earlier: they'd drown without you. Maybe that's true. But tonight, standing in my empty kitchen with the hum of the fridge filling the air, I realize something else. If I disappeared tomorrow, they'd learn how to swim. I've always thought exhaustion has 2 kinds. There's the physical kind, muscles sore, eyes heavy, brain fried, the one you can sleep off. And then there's the kind that seeps in quietly, so gradual you don't even notice it's there until your chest feels like someone stacked wet towels on top of it. That's the kind I live with. The quiet kind. It shows up in small ways. Like how I stopped turning on music when I wake up. Or how my coffee tastes weaker even though I haven't changed brands. Or how people's thank yous don't really sound like gratitude anymore, more like confirmation that the world is still working as it should because I'm still doing my part. Monday morning, the office copier jams again. Marla groans from her desk. "Ethan, you're good with this thing, right?" I could tell her the manual's right there, taped to the side. I could say I'm busy. Instead, I walk over, open the tray, and fix it before she finishes complaining. She pats my arm. "Knew you'd save us." Save, that word should feel heroic, but all it does is make me tired. By noon, the boss sends an email to everyone, congratulating the team for last week's project launch, a launch I stayed late 3 nights in a row to finish. My name isn't in the message. It never is. I scroll past the email, half smiling at the irony. I used to forward those messages to my mom, proud that my work mattered. Now I just delete them. After work, I meet Olivia for dinner, her idea, her restaurant, her choice of time. She arrives 20 minutes late, breathless but unbothered. "Sorry, Ethan. I had to call the grant office. You wouldn't believe the mess they made of my submission." I believe it. I was the one who stayed up till 2 a.m. proofreading it for her. She doesn't ask how I am, she never does. She just talks about her boss, her roommate, her ex, her goals. I nod like always. When the waiter brings the check, she glances at it, then at me. "Can you grab this? I'm short this week." Of course she is. Of course I do. Walking home afterward, I notice my reflection in the store windows, shoulders a little too tense, eyes a little too hollow. It's strange seeing yourself from the outside, realizing you look like a person who never leaves early, never says no, never stops giving even when there's nothing left. At home, I call my sister back. "Hey," I say, "did you get Mom's taxes sorted?" She laughs, distracted. "Oh yeah, I sent them to her accountant. Thanks for starting it, by the way." I don't remind her that I finished it. I just say goodnight. Before bed, I check my planner, an old habit. It's full of other people's reminders. Return Ben's charger, pick up Mom's prescription, edit Olivia's new proposal. There's nothing in it for me, not even laundry. I close it and slide it into the drawer. For the first time in months, I don't set an alarm. If the world really depends on me showing up every day, maybe it's time to find out what happens when I don't. The world didn't end when I stayed home. I half expected it to, or maybe I wanted it to. I imagined a flood of messages, frantic calls, the office realizing the glue that held it together had finally dissolved. But morning came and my phone stayed silent. No alarms, no buzzing, no "Hey, where are you?" Just the steady hum of the refrigerator and a thin beam of sunlight sliding across the floor. I made coffee slowly for once, measuring everything out like it mattered. The smell filled the apartment, richer than it had in months. When I sat down with the mug, I didn't open my laptop. I just sat. It was strange how foreign that felt, doing nothing without guilt. Around 10 a.m., a text finally came through. Marla texted, "Hey. Quick question, where did you put the client folder?" No greeting, no mention of me not being there, just expectation disguised as habit. I texted back, "In the shared drive." Marla texts, "Thanks, you're a lifesaver." I didn't reply, I muted the thread. By noon, 3 more messages popped up, Ben asking for a spreadsheet, my sister wondering if I could pick up something for Mom, Olivia forwarding a half-written draft with "Need your magic touch" in the subject line. I turned my phone face down. The quiet that followed wasn't peaceful, exactly, it was heavy, like the pause after a storm when you're waiting to see what's still standing. I went for a walk instead. The sky was overcast, but the air felt clean. People hurried past me, earbuds in, worlds of their own spinning fast and loud. I realized how much of my life I'd spent orbiting other people's emergencies, mistaking proximity for purpose. There's a park a few blocks from my place I'd never actually stopped in, even though I passed it every day. I sat on a bench near the fountain, watched the pigeons fight over crumbs. Nobody needed anything from me there. Nobody even noticed me. It was nice. I stayed until the sun broke through, a thin gold cutting across the gray. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty for wasting time. It didn't feel wasted at all. When I got home, the missed calls started rolling in. My boss texted, "Ethan, didn't see you at the morning meeting. Everything okay?" Marla texted, "Just checking if you're sick or something." Olivia texted, "I really needed that edit today. Can you please look at it tonight?" I let them pile up. My thumb hovered over callback. But I didn't press it. I left the phone on the counter and watched the light fade out of the window instead. Somewhere between the second voicemail and the third, I realized something quietly terrifying. Not one of them had asked how I was. They all just wanted access. It wasn't malice. It was convenience. They were so used to the version of me that kept showing up, they'd stopped seeing me at all. That night I made dinner for one. Real food. Chopped vegetables, garlic, olive oil, the works. It tasted better than anything I'd eaten in weeks. And when the phone buzzed again, I turned it off. The world could wait. By the next morning, my absence had finally registered. I woke to 12 unread messages and 3 missed calls, all variations of the same panic. My boss texted, "Hey, Ethan, really need those invoices. Didn't realize you hadn't been in. Can you hop on a quick call?" Marla texted, "Where did you save the presentation file? We can't find it anywhere." Ben texted, "Dude, I think the team's freaking out. Nobody knows how to schedule the system backup." I lay there staring at the screen, thumb hovering over reply. My first instinct, of course, was to fix it, to clean up the mess before it got worse. But something in me had changed. A small, stubborn voice whispered, "Let them figure it out." So I did. The hours stretched out, unfamiliar but mercifully quiet. I opened the windows, let sunlight spill into the room. My apartment smelled like nothing, which I realized was better than the stale mix of takeout and printer ink that usually followed me home. By noon, I made the mistake of checking my email. Dozens of threads, all frantic. The office group chat was chaos, people pinging me like I was tech support and therapist rolled into one. The kind of chaos I used to step into without hesitation. Not today. Instead, I went to the grocery store. It felt strange walking through the aisles without a list that wasn't someone else. No mom's brand of cereal, no Ben's energy drinks, no office snacks for Thursday. Just me and what I actually wanted: pasta, spinach, tomatoes, real coffee. It felt both luxurious and embarrassingly small, like I was learning how to exist again. At the checkout, the cashier smiled at me. "You're always so early," she said. I blinked. "You recognize me?" "Of course," she said. "You're the polite one who double bags the groceries yourself." I didn't know whether to laugh or apologize. Guess that sounds like me. When I got home, I found a voicemail from my sister. "Ethan, I know you're probably busy, but Mom's appointment got moved and I'm not sure I can drive her. Can you? Oh, wait, I guess you're not picking up. Okay, love you." Her voice cracked a little at the end, and for a second I almost called back. But I didn't. I couldn't keep being everyone's emergency exit. By evening, the world had begun adjusting. The office managed to send invoices without me. My sister texted that she'd found a neighbor to drive Mom. Even Olivia emailed to say she'd found someone else to prove her proposal, though the tone made it sound like punishment. I expected to feel guilt. What I felt instead was space. I cooked dinner while the city hummed below my window, each sound distant but distinct: dogs, horns, laughter. For once, I wasn't rushing to finish before someone needed me again. When I finally sat down to eat, I realized something I hadn't noticed before. The hum in my head, the constant low-grade tension of being on call for everyone else, was gone. I didn't know how long the peace would last, but I wasn't going to ruin it by checking my phone. Let them miss me. Let them learn what happens when the safety net stops catching them. The world I was starting to see doesn't fall apart when you stop holding it. It just shifts its weight. By the end of the week, the office finally called a meeting, not to check if I was okay, but to figure out why everything was falling apart. Marla's message came first. "Hey, Ethan. Just FYI, people are saying the reports are a mess because you didn't label the folders properly before you left." Left, as if I'd quit. As if one day of not showing up erased years of unpaid overtime. I stared at the text, thumb resting on the keyboard. There was a dozen different versions of the truth I could have sent, but none of them mattered. People don't want honesty when it threatens their comfort. They want someone to absorb the blame. And I'd been that person for too long. So I didn't reply. Later that morning, Ben called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hey man," he said, sounding hesitant. "Just wanted to warn you, people are freaking out. The presentation for the client's gone, and apparently you were the only one who knew where the files were." "I told them months ago to back it up," I said. "I know," he sighed. "You always did, but well, they didn't listen." Story of my life. Ben hesitated. "They're saying maybe you should have trained someone else. Shared the load." That actually made me laugh, not bitterly, genuinely. "You think I didn't try? Every time I did, they said, 'You're faster, Ethan, just do it.'" He didn't argue, just went quiet for a long time. "Guess you were holding more than we realized." "Yeah," I said softly. "Guess I was." After the call, I went for another walk, hoping the air would quiet my head. It didn't. The guilt still buzzed there, not because I'd done anything wrong, but because I'd spent so long equating usefulness with worth. When you stop being needed, it's hard not to feel disposable, even when the freedom feels good. At the park, I found a bench near the pond. Two kids were feeding ducks, giggling when they got too close. A father sat nearby, scrolling his phone. One of the kids tugged at his sleeve. "Dad, look." The man nodded without looking up. It hit me like déjà vu. That's what I'd been to everyone, the background adult who kept the world functioning so they could stay distracted. I stayed there until the sun dipped low. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Olivia. "The grant got rejected. The feedback mentioned grammar errors. I thought you were going to help me fix them. Thanks a lot." No question, no self-awareness, just blame wrapped in disappointment. I typed out a reply. "I stopped fixing things that aren't mine." Then I deleted it. No explanation would make her understand. People only see effort when it disappears, and by then, they're too busy panicking to learn from it. When I got home, I poured myself a drink, something I rarely did, and sat by the window. The city lights looked softer tonight, not because they'd changed, but because I had. I wasn't angry anymore, just done. Let them call me cold, selfish, unhelpful. They could have the version of me they built in their heads. I was finally meeting the one I'd buried under everyone else's needs. And for once, I liked him. The following week felt unnaturally still, like the air after rain when everything holds its breath. No one from the office called anymore. My sister hadn't texted since the day she found someone else to drive Mom. Even Olivia, who used to flood my phone with messages at all hours, had gone silent. It should have felt like peace. Instead, it felt like standing in a room after everyone's left, surrounded by echoes that haven't realized they're done. I tried to fill the time with ordinary things. Grocery runs, cleaning, cooking real meals. There's a rhythm in small chores, and I leaned into it, trying to remember what life feels like when it's not built around other people's chaos. One night, I finally opened the drawer with my old planner, the one filled with other people's reminders. I flipped through the pages slowly. Birthdays, deadlines, shopping lists, notes about who liked their coffee how. It was like reading a diary written by someone who didn't exist anymore. Half the names didn't even feel real, just noise I'd mistaken for connection. By the time I reached the back of the book, I realized I'd never written anything about myself. Not one appointment, not one goal. I closed it and tossed it in the trash. The sound it made was lighter than I expected. The next day, I stopped by the office, not out of nostalgia but practicality. I needed to pick up a few personal things. The receptionist gave me a strange look as I walked in, like she was seeing a ghost that had come back too soon. Inside, the mood was brittle, the kind of quiet that pretends to be normal. Desks cluttered, emails unanswered, attention hanging in the air like static. Marla saw me first. "Ethan," she said, relief flickering across her face, "we were just talking about you." "I noticed," I said lightly. "You okay?" She laughed, but it cracked halfway through. "Honestly, it's been chaos. You wouldn't believe how many files went missing after you stopped coming in." "I can believe it," I said. She frowned like she expected more, an apology, maybe, or a rescue. When she realized none was coming, she shifted topics. "The new intern's trying to take over your reports. Poor kid looks like he's aged 10 years. "I'm sure he'll adjust," I said and meant it. Someone always does eventually. As I gathered my things, a mug, a notebook, a small cactus I'd rescued from the break room, I overheard Ben arguing with someone about deadlines. His voice sounded thinner now, rushed. He caught my eye as I passed his desk. "Hey," he said quietly, "we really miss having you around." I paused. "You mean you miss what I did?" He opened his mouth, but no words came. "It's okay," I said. "You'll figure it out. Everyone does when they have to." I left before anyone could stop me. Outside, the air felt different, cooler, cleaner. I stood on the sidewalk for a long minute, just breathing. Behind me, the building looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe it wasn't the world that had shrunk. Maybe it was just me, finally stepping into my own size. It took another 2 weeks before the world finally caught up to the absence. People had stopped pretending everything was fine. Now they were starting to notice the cracks. The first message came from my sister. "Hey, I just realized I don't know how to renew Mom's insurance. You always handled that. Can you?" "Actually, no. Never mind, I'll figure it out." That last line surprised me. For once, she didn't follow it with a heart emoji or a desperate plea, just quiet resolve. Maybe she was learning. The second came from Ben. "Hey man, the new guy crashed the company server trying to fix your script. Took us 3 days to rebuild it. I didn't realize how much stuff you had automated. We should have been paying you double." I smiled, not bitterly this time, just with distance. And then there was Olivia. Hers wasn't a message. It was a voicemail, long, messy, and full of pauses. "Ethan, I got the grant resubmitted. I used your old notes. The ones you gave me months ago, they worked. I don't even know how to thank you. You were right, I took advantage. I didn't see it until you stopped answering. I thought you were being cold, but you were just done. I get it now." Her voice cracked then, the sound of someone realizing too late that kindness isn't infinite. "I hope you're doing okay," she finished. "You deserve people who ask that first." I didn't call her back, not out of spite, just peace. That evening, I walked through the city as the lights came on one by one. The streets were full of people rushing somewhere, the same way I used to. Now, for the first time, I wasn't part of their urgency. I passed a bookstore I'd never noticed before. The sign in the window said Writing Workshop, Beginners Welcome. On impulse, I went in. The place smelled like old paper and rain. A handful of people sat in a circle, notebooks open. The instructor, an older man with tired eyes and a warm smile, looked up. "Here for the class." I hesitated, then nodded. We wrote in silence for 10 minutes, the sound of pens scratching steady and slow. My hand ached halfway through, but it felt good, like muscles waking up. When it was time to read aloud, the instructor asked if anyone wanted to share. I almost didn't, but something in me nudged forward. I read a small paragraph, something about people mistaking silence for serenity, and how sometimes you stop speaking not because you have nothing left to say, but because no one's been listening. When I finished, no one said anything for a moment. Then a woman across from me whispered, "That's beautiful." I didn't deflect, didn't say thank you out of reflex or turn it into a joke. I just smiled, and for the first time in years, it didn't feel like performing humility. It felt like acceptance. After class, I walked home through the drizzle, notebook tucked under my arm. My phone buzzed once in my pocket, another missed call from work probably. I didn't even look. There was no anger left, no satisfaction either, just stillness. They were all learning, in their own ways, how to function without me. And I was learning how to exist without them. A month passed before anyone saw me again at the office. I wasn't there to work. I was just passing by on my way to the bookstore when I saw the glass doors propped open and the familiar hum of printers inside. Curiosity tugged at me, maybe closure too. Inside, the place looked the same but sounded different. The frantic chatter was gone. People spoke quietly, deliberately, like they were still learning how to manage without the safety net they'd taken for granted. Ben noticed me first. He stood up from his desk, eyes widening. "Ethan." "Just visiting," I said. "Forgot I had a few old files on the shared drive." He smiled, a little awkward. "You can come by any time. It's not the same without you." I shrugged, still polite. "It's probably better. You're all doing fine." Marla walked over next. She looked tired in a way I recognized, the kind of tired that comes from holding everything up for once. "I owe you an apology," she said quietly, "for dumping so much on you. I didn't realize until you stopped showing up how much you were carrying." Her voice trembled a little. I wanted to say it was fine, but that would have been a lie, and lies were how I got trapped in the first place. "It's okay," I said instead. "Just don't do it to the next person." She nodded, eyes wet. Before I left, Ben asked, "You coming back?" I thought about it, the years I'd spent here, the late nights, the invisible weight. Then I shook my head. "No, I think I've already done my time." He looked like he wanted to argue but didn't. Maybe he finally understood. Outside, the city felt brighter than I remembered. Not louder, not busier, just alive. I stopped by the same cafe where I used to work through lunch breaks and sat near the window with my notebook open. The pages were filling faster these days, small stories, stray thoughts, quiet observations about people learning and unlearning each other. I didn't write for anyone else anymore, just for the part of me that used to whisper beneath the noise. Halfway through my coffee, my phone buzzed again. This time it was my sister. "Mom's doing better. I handled everything this time, just wanted you to know." I texted back, "That's good, proud of you." I smiled. It wasn't guilt this time or obligation, just warmth, proof that she was learning too. When I got home, the apartment was full of late afternoon light. The plants I'd started nomming were thriving, leaves glossy in the sun. I watered them slowly, humming to no one, and realized the silence didn't ache anymore. It had texture now, depth. I stepped onto the balcony with my coffee and watched the city pulse below, sirens, laughter, windows glowing gold in the distance. The same world that once demanded every part of me now spun on without asking for anything. I leaned on the railing, the wind tugging at my sleeves, and felt something settle inside me. Maybe this is what balance feels like, not grand or cinematic, just steady. They'd all learned what it meant to lose me. And I'd finally learned what it meant to have myself.